And we're live on my channel now.
Oh, you're live on
really?
your channel too.
That's cool.
We've almost been online 3 hours.
Sorry.
3 hours, and we're just going live on mine. But for those just tuning in, you can watch the entire episode on the Tao of Frankie YouTube channel. For what it's worth, Mike, we'll keep you here as long as we can. I know it's already, 1 a.m. there now? My God.
Yeah, 10 after 1.
Absolutely
way past my bedtime.
Knowledge you shared so far. I will let you continue.
While I stepped away, I'll let... Sorry, say that again?
I was saying the show went all over the fucking place, aside from
Yeah.
the gem dropping.
That was my fault.
Yeah, it's been a ride. Definitely been a ride.
It's been okay though, right?
Yeah, we covered a lot of territory, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was trying to keep it on the coils. I have a lot of coil stuff to talk about with you and Bernie. I'm not sure if I can now.
Because I'm now.
Take it.
What? You can share. What? Nothing's changed.
I guess I could. I'm losing.
Oh yeah, we are live on my stupid monetized channel. You're right. Frick that. Gosh darn it.
No, that's okay.
I screwed up by doing that.
I do have a few things to share. I could just do it tomorrow too.
I don't have the video on.
And yeah, we definitely need to start doing this, make a weekly multicast out of it, Frankie, because you are natural. You're a natural born podcaster. This is pretty epic first stream. All full 3 hours are available on the Tao of Frankie YouTube channel. Who's tuning in on my channel with it just starting out. Frankie is epic, as is our Ben and Mike with FAraday Research. All awesome guests tonight.
Yeah, I think we opened up the genie's bottle tonight.
Man, I didn't know this was gonna happen either. Let me show you. I could play a video and let you guys talk. What would you rather do? I have to prepare to show you. I need to show you something. I have to prepare. I could play a video or let you guys talk.
Sure.
All right, I'm gonna play a video then. This is Donnie Darko. It is about time travel.
Oh, you can't play Donnie Darko on my channel. That will get.
Oh man. Okay, yeah. Okay. I forgot about that.
Hi, Tammy. Hi, Brian.
It's worth it.
I heard something about like the plot of Donnie Darko.
It's worth it. That's fine. Give me a second. I'm gonna play your channel, which I want recorded on here anyway, so I can use it for a documentary later. That's my plan. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to share your channel real quick. I wish you could control it too with me, and that'd be better.
I can also share and control. I just can't hit play or pause from what you're sharing.
Okay. If you text me, I can, or I can put my chick doing it. I have to go walk my dog real quick. Even though that sounds stupid, it's important to me.
Nothing is stupid, and especially walking your pets, your dog. That's a routine. That's part of the family. There's nothing wrong about that. Okay, so you want me to take over and DJ a video for a few minutes while you take the dog out for a run?
Yeah.
Or?
Do you want to do it, or I can play video too?
Yeah, I can do it. Okay. Mike, here, yeah, let's load up Mike's page here quickly so we can go over your most recent Atom motor build there, Mike.
Yeah. The work in progress.
Always, right? See, and you are an alchemist, because an alchemist work is never done. It's always in progress.
Yep, 20 years in the making.
The point is that I think that we can knowledge of exchange of energies may be a, I think that may help us figure out a little bit of making the thing, you know what I mean? It is, I know it is an integral component, you know what I mean?
Ben, are you able to get closer to your microphone? It's just a little low on the sound.
I said I think this guy's knowledge of flows of energy are going to be important in understanding the operations of making the thing.
Oh yeah, Mike is a next level self-taught electrical engineer, aka autodidactic electrical engineer.
All the way around. So I got a total of 10 magnets.
Yeah, the things he was talking about was really impressive to me.
Hooked up in there. It's actually, in for that is I need enough of a pulse that I can actually pick it up with my reed switch. So now I can back off on the reed switch pretty far. So it won't, I can dial in my timing a lot better. Before we get into this, now I'm getting into some serious high power. So if you don't know electrical theory or you don't have any experience in electronics, stay away from this. It can be potentially dangerous. Okay, so I'm going to be starting to do disclaimers in all my videos now. I'm getting into some ridiculously high power. If you're not experienced, I've been educating myself for the last 20 years in this stuff, so I know what I'm doing, and I'm relatively safe when operating electrical devices of this kind. So if you don't know what you're doing and you don't understand what I'm doing, don't even attempt to build it until you understand electrical theory. You watch a lot of videos of Eric Dollar that teaches you about electricity and how it works, and you have to educate yourself first before you get involved in this. I've been at this for like I said, like 20 years. So I know what I'm doing. I know how to stay safe. I know how to prevent myself from getting electrocuted. From time to time, I do make a stupid mistake and I get a jolt. So even someone who's experienced can still get hurt doing this. So if you're unsure about this stuff, don't even attempt to build stuff like this, because it can be potentially dangerous for you. So anyways, yeah, I did all these mods to the wheel. It's running really, really balanced. So when you're building a motor like this, it's incredibly important to make a very balanced wheel. Now, I also put the mag strip on it, and now I'm actually doing some readings. So I pumped up the power. I really advanced the timing on this, and I was able to get this motor to spin over 4,200 RPMs. So we're talking some major power here now. And that's why I'm doing these disclaimers now, because I'm getting into such a high speed. If your magnets aren't attached to the wheel properly, they can be like little missiles coming off if they fail. So I'm going to just fire it up. I'll just kind of show you. I'm also going to show you this induction coil. It's about 1 pound of copper wire, 14 gauge. I got one of those big LED lights, and I'm just going to set it right beside the wheel as it's spinning. And this wheel is going to be generating quite a bit of power. I have measured about 4 volts coming off it. Now I plan to get about 3 or 4 of these made and have them lined up all the way around the wheel and generate extra power, which I can feed back into the system to make it essentially run basically indefinitely. Now I'm getting
Oh my God,
so efficient that it's basically going to be, well, I got as low as 20 milliamps at 24 volts, which is really impressive. It's basically just running on voltage. It's running, eventually I think I can get it down to the microwatts of power consumption. So if you have a car battery, 2 car batteries hooked up, make 24 volts, this thing would run for probably a month, maybe longer, because it takes so little power to actually run it. I'm powering up almost 30 watts of the ballast lights So that can be used to charge up your off the grid home or whatever, and basically sustain the whole system indefinitely. Continuously would run self-running system. So I'm just going to fire it up just to show you how well it's running now. All right, I'll get it spinning. A good start. Let's see, my ballast is running. It'll take a couple of minutes here to get it up to speed. It's running at about 50 milliamps right now. It's actually going down. I'll keep the light on so you can kind of see how fast it's actually going to start running. Like I said, the wheel's got to be extremely balanced for it to run good. And we'll do a speed test on it. We'll get the RPM up because it's now acting like almost like a flywheel too. We got that centrifugal force in there. So let's see. 728 RPM already. It's going faster. I can even put the induction coil, and you can see, and I put it in. I'll just start to bring it close.
If anyone was getting time delay, it's because of where,
and all the magnets are all facing north, and I'm still able to light this up. So it's pulsing, so it's creating actually an AC current, but enough to actually light up this blue LED light. And look how bright it is. So I got that going. Let's just adjust this wheel here. Coil. We're at 40 milliamps. Lights are all running good. I'm going to put the timing in. I'm going to advance it. I'm going to just draw a little bit more current. I don't have to push much. Get it closer, and it just takes off now. Okay, so let's check this. Okay, 849. Let's check the wheel. Over 900 already. It's going faster. Let's get this a little bit closer. Let's set the amps. Start lower. I'm going to take this out of here for now. We can see how fast it's going. Let's go. So I think it's going 950. 2100 RPMs. 2163.
Mike, you're a wizard. Oh, this shit is intriguing. It's awesome.
Yeah.
You remember, Bernie, when I was talking about that dude who built that magnetic displacement motor with a stroller wheel and a few fucking magnets and some zip ties, man? And I was running a damn vacuum off of it.
I couldn't hear you over the video, sorry.
And the thing is, I'm using less than a watt of power to do it.
Right? Like, that's so good, Mike, and like crazy, like just the efficiencies that you've been able to work into the system. And like this is the sort of electrical engineering that is so essential for all of humanity and the current grid and everything that we run off of, is that we need to get these super efficiencies into our modern systems so that we stop wasting so much of these fossil fuels and inefficient and systems.
So the power I was putting in 0.98 watts, and I was lighting up 30 watts of lights.
Exactly.
And I'm spinning a mechanical wheel at over 2,000 RPM.
Yeah.
So you got mechanical power there too, right?
Yeah,
This is where we can use water. You know what I mean? Just a fucking stream. A stream and some fucking wood and some nails, man. And you can, oh my God.
Less swearing. We're on my monetized channel now, please. But yes, one of the builds I want to do next summer is the reverse engineering of a washing machine where you just turn it into a little hydroelectric generator for a stream.
Yeah. Absolutely, man.
Okay, so I got it down to 30 milliamps. See, now we got all this inertia built up in the wheel. So in lens effect, if you were to grab that shaft, lens effect takes place. The amperage should go way up. It should go like to 10 or 12 or whatever. I'm going to slow it down, and you can see. Watch. I'm slowing it down. Look. Very little. It went up 20 milliamps, and it slowed it down to about half the speed. So lens effect is very, very minimal on this motor. And also my neons are going.
Mike, could you explain?
Those are the piezos there.
Mike, could you explain for the layman, like my sister or someone I'm trying to introduce to this, what lens law is and how this is benefiting or changing?
Well, lens affects all motors. So when you either put a mechanical load or electrical load on the circuit, what happens is the input current increases exponentially. So that's the way the motors are designed. So basically what my motor does, because I'm using the piezoelectrics plus the spark gap switch, that brake, every time that switch opens and closes, now basically negates or basically eliminates the effects of lens law. Now, this is not rocket science. This is just switching technology.
What does lens law state, and how do you break it?
By breaking the circuit. The second you open and close the circuit at a rapid rate like I am, the lens effect disappears. Now, I'm also using the ultrasonics there, which also helps. That's why I could run a motor at 4,000 RPMs and only put 20 milliamps in it. Like, theoretically, what I'm doing is impossible.
Right, except for it happened, right?
It's right in front of you.
Yeah, so maybe it isn't impossible. Yeah.
That's right. It's all the motors.
Lens law states that you. What are the limits? Lens law is a. Can you remind us?
Well, basically, what happens as soon as you put a load on a motor, it starts drawing more current from the power source. It has to work harder to maintain that load, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've devised a motor that rapidly opens and closes the power source at a very, very high rate of speed. And because of that breaking of the circuit effect, it basically negates it. It makes the effects of lens law disappear.
And now, this is DC? with a spark gap?
It's a spot. Yeah, it's a pulse DC, but in actual fact, I'm creating a new power source. Basically the output power of this motor could run an AC circuit or a DC. It conforms. It conforms. It's a hybrid. It's a hybrid version of electricity.
As you're comfortable with how that happens?
Well, because you're pulsing it. Whenever you pulse electricity, so like say AC from the wall socket, that pulse is at 60 hertz. Okay, in Europe it's 50 hertz. Okay, that's it. And you get the sine wave. You get the sine wave up and down. DC is a straight line, right? So what I've basically done is create a hybrid version of an AC and DC combined.
Yeah, that's fucking trippy.
Right.
And you're skipping the AC. You're skipping a fundamental thing with that, right? Am I wrong?
Well, I've changed the frequency of the actual pulse. So my motors run up in the kilohertz range. And because of that, I'm able to achieve the power gains that I'm achieving. See, if you look back at what Tesla was doing, all this stuff was in the kilohertz range. That was how he was able to achieve, 6-foot lightning bolts coming out of a Tesla coil, right? When you work in high power, high frequency, you're able to get way, way higher gains in power. Like a Tesla coil, a powerful one that he made, could easily produce 2,500 amps of electricity, which is enormous, enormous amount of power.
Is a frequency that makes it completely alive or self-sufficient?
Well, yeah, you got to go up into a high kilohertz range, right? The higher you go, the faster the pulsing, the faster the collapsing of the magnetic field within the induction coil. That's where the gains are made. That's where people say you access 0 point or, the quantum flux or all these different, names that people have come up with over time.
Right. Let me ask you one last question real quick, and then I'll let you guys do your thing, and I'm gonna probably sign off if I can. Can I plug a rodent coil, which I've built many of, and I have a bunch of weird variations? Can I plug them into a speaker?
You could do so. I would be very careful with that because you're using. Well, yeah, it depends on the frequency. See, rodent coils, you want to run in the kilohertz range. So if you do that, say with a signal generator, if you have a signal generator, you can start experimenting. Yeah, you can start experimenting with that. But I also would add a piezo.
I'm a little farther ahead than I'm way behind you, but I'm farther ahead as far as most people. What if I were a layman and I wanted to, let's say I wanted to send my friend who doesn't know anything about this a rodent coil, which I've built many of them, and I told him to plug this into a speaker. As long as you have an appliance like a magnetic ball, spinning water, you could put an artificial appliance next to it and then run. Like I could go online. Let's say I hook up my rodent coil to a speaker wire. Yeah. And I go online and I go to a frequency generator online and I play 432 hertz. Or 108 sounds better. It's like it's a lower, something I could deal with all day, Or the Schumann frequency is pretty fucking cool, And I just play that on there.
Yeah, you just experiment, man. You have to experiment.
Right.
Right. I didn't learn this stuff overnight. It's years and years of experimentation, learning. I had to learn right from square one. I had nobody to refer to.
Too much. I'm asking for all your years of experience in one fucking question, which of course that doesn't work that way, right?
Yeah,
Perfect. Let's have more loaded questions. Give us all your secrets, Michael.
That's not what I said.
It's not enough hours in the day. It's just years and years of
Right?
experimentation.
Grab a pickaxe. Let's fucking mine his brain.
I want to show my friends that aren't into this how profound it is, and I can't. And I'm asking
Well, like,
you guys, let's present this to a kindergartner. You see what I'm saying? That's what I feel like to me. Let's make
yeah,
this obvious to a kindergartner, because it is that obvious, actually, right?
it's not easy. This stuff is advanced.
Sure.
This is why Tesla was shut down. He was taking the energy thing and it was going way too far. And the power brokers at that time were deathly scared of this technology getting out. That's why they stopped him and suppressed him. And he died a poor man.
Yeah.
Can you start this generator? Like I asked in the private chat, can you start this off of Hutchison's little Tartar battery? Or are you able?
Probably could, yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Dude, if you can achieve that, that is fucking liberation right there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Bust it out. Right?
See, this motor doesn't require current. It requires very little current to actually run. It runs on energy, not power.
Oh, fuck. I feel like I'm like ground zero for some fucking amazing shit right here,
Mm. And it's not. See, look how simple the device is.
Yes, dude, right there. I have seen this device. Did you go on YouTube before and build a wood apparatus with a fucking stroller wheel and some magnets and do infinite displacement? Because exactly what I'm looking at right now, I've seen somebody take just magnets, copper wire, and run a fucking vacuum off of it.
Bernie, I have to take a break for a minute.
Oh my god. Yeah, that was only on YouTube for about.
Sorry. See, it's not the device itself that's complicated. What's complicated is understanding the power, how the power works. As soon as you understand what power is, how it's manifested into the third dimensional reality, how the ether plays in a part of this, how magnetism plays in a part of this, how electromotive force plays in the part of this, and when you understand these concepts, you can do amazing things with such a simple device.
Bernie, rewind. Whoever's playing this video, rewind it just 25-30 seconds and look at that 5-star pattern.
Yeah, it's a wheel from a walker. I bought 2 wheels from a walker, and I modified it. See, all the devices I build them in a way that you can go to Home Depot, Canadian Tire, or whatever auto parts depot and put it together. I want a device that anybody at home with a little bit of mechanical knowledge can buy the stuff and put it together. And that's my goal.
Exactly, Mike. That's
simplify the design,
right?
Simplify the.
And what? Yeah, exactly, right? Make it easily accessible parts that are affordable that people can understand and make it. And what Ben was bringing up, it's 100% the crucial. Like if we can then get these things running off the Hutchin batteries, that combined is a pretty powerful unit that's going to power a decent amount of things. Like, it'll at least power like a trailer with all the lights and stuff in it forever. If it's LEDs and like a little fan in it and stuff, or that's even right
now I'm getting to the point, Bernie, where I could hook up 2 car batteries to this device and it would run forever. Okay, when you're only consuming microamps of power, it takes very little of another source, like if you loop the power back into it to sustain this for indefinite, and it's producing 30 watts of continuous output, which I can hook up to an AC source or to a DC power source and charge batteries or run lights or whatever. I'm getting to the point
That's
where
huge. Like either or AC or DC.
yeah, it conforms. The type of energy is a hybrid. It's what Tesla was getting into. It's a power source that it doesn't matter if it's AC or DC. It's like the power itself knows what it is. It conforms to whatever it's going into. Like I could take a Tesla plasma ball and I can light light bulbs with one wire, no ground. I can take the ground wire, hold it up in the air, and use counter space as the ground.
You know,
So-
Tesla was talking about living entities, you know what I mean, that you can tap into for energy. Be careful, use them wisely, they're alive.
Mhm.
Dude, you're getting into some stuff here that is just fucking major.
As soon as you understand what counter space is and how to access energy from counter space, you have endless power. Period. It's endless.
Yeah.
It's just you have to start from the beginning. You have to start from Faraday, go into Maxwell, Steinmetz, Heaviside. All these guys, you have to study basically the godfathers of electricity, real electrical science, real electrical science. Real electrical science died in 1929 when Steinmetz died. After Steinmetz, then the Einsteiners took over and made a total botchery of the electrical industry. And that's why we're in the situation we are now today. We're picking up the pieces from 100 years ago.
God. I don't even have to really know what counter space is. Just, you know, just having a esoteric foundation, understanding that, like, as long as you have a positive and a negative equal force, like working on an etheric level like that, dude, you're right. It's never gonna stop. That's an infinite source of power. You know what I mean? Like, I'm at a preschool level of understanding, and I still get what you're saying. Like, that's really huge.
That's why I try to put it across in a way that, you know, it's easy for somebody who's not into the stuff can somewhat understand or at least try to wrap their head around it.
Absolutely. So we're joined by Oso, Mr. Ross, brother. Thank you for coming on. I know you've been trying to get on for a little while. You said you have your Bendini motor with you right now, Ross. You want to show that off? And
Yeah,
Mike, you've got some experience with Bendini motors too, correct?
Yeah, it works on similar principles what I'm doing.
So is it? I mean, I don't know if like what you're doing is sort of kind of related to a Bedini.
Yeah, I'm using a negative energy, cold energy, but I've introduced piezoelectric transducers into my circuit, which really changed the dynamics of the circuit. So I highly recommend you dabble with that, get into the ultrasonics, and you're going to see some.
It's just two DC motors,
Mhm.
and like one is the run motor, and then this is the charge motor.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is the Bedini motor. It's called I guess it's called a bifilar.
Yeah, bifilar coil. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the bifilar coils are the key to unlocking our universe.
And it so when one runs it, and then as it's running, it's literally charging the charge battery. Did you know that?
Yeah.
That's the key
I've
part.
I've been around that stuff for 20 years.
See, and
I'm doing.
this is key part of a lot of the real free energy or over unity or over efficient systems is that it's running on a battery, but no, it's running off a battery, but it's then charging another battery that then goes into it. So it's like it's refilling itself as it's using it. So it's not actually cheating or I'll let you
see my motor is basically almost running on zero current, and I got it up to about 4,000 RPMs on about 25 to 30 milliamps of input. So I'm putting in 0.98 watts into the system, and I'm getting 30 watts out.
You know, anybody that's watching this, man, just stop and give these guys a round of fucking applause, man. They deserve every bit of it.
And so I'm going to show you. So this is a neodymium metal magnet, a ball magnet. And so it's shaped about the right size as this. And the crazy thing is, like, it'll spin this thing so fast. And what Mike was just using another coil with LED lights, which I don't have, but if you get a coil with an LED light close to it while it's spinning, it actually has enough, I guess, I don't know if you call it back EMF or whatever, but enough to power a light. And I also find this pretty crazy that it doesn't have to touch. Like, I can be like a distance away from the magnet and it will still spin it. And it will actually spin faster as I am farther away.
Moving it.
The toroid.
It's almost like there's like a lens effect. Like, it's like the magnetic is coming out and like it's focusing on like a certain point. So it's almost like, if you think about it, like, this is another one of my theories, is that if we figure this out, I mean, and this is a totally separate technology, but like with like years ago, humans had like candles and stuff, and that's all we had. And then we came out with, electricity and lights and the light bulb. And then we also later came out with the flashlight. And then later we came out with the laser. And it's all based off the same thing. It's just focusing light. So my theory is that if you could figure it out, you could turn a magnet into a focused beam where you could literally, like, I'm moving this magnet, like, right, next to the Bedini motor. But I mean, if in theory, if this was like a laser, if you turn this into like a laser beam of magnetism, you could put this in California.
A phaser beam.
And send a laser.
That's sound, not magnet. My bad.
Yeah, but I'm not saying like an actual like a light laser. It would be like
a beam of magnetic energy. I got you.
Which is like power. It's pretty crazy because you'd be creating a locomotive. You'd be putting the input power here, and then you'd have a locomotive power train spinning physically somewhere else, which you could be getting the electricity from way over there. So that would be another way of sending electricity. Like, I was thinking like an application like this. I was in the military. I don't know if did you know I was in the Air Force? And I was
you had mentioned that a bit, but you got quite the story to tell yet. We're gonna have to do a full episode with Mr. Ross. The good story to tell.
I was thinking because when I was in the military and we were deployed overseas in the Middle East, a lot of places we didn't have like electricity to plug into, and a lot of times we had batteries and things, and you'd have maybe solar to like recharge your batteries. But like, think about like if you had like a really big neodymium magnet in like a backpack on a soldier, and everywhere they go, there's like a power station up in the space pointing a laser beam of magnetism at the soldier's backpack, spinning this huge neodymium magnet in their backpack, and it's just creating electricity So everywhere they go, they're always getting electricity, no matter where mountain in Afghanistan. They could be all, Libya.
Wherever you are
Syria.
on terra firma, you'll be able
Yeah.
to get energy beamed down to you from above.
Yeah, so all the soldiers would have like their late, like laser scopes, their night vision, their walkie.
I like it for civilians. Let's do this for the civilian people.
Yeah.
I just got
my mind is thinking I'm thinking like military tech. So that's just kind of
You
how
just
I.
stepping out for a minute, Mike. You still
Yeah.
be back?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go for a quick smoke. I'll be right back.
All right, so you want me to
Sounds good,
fire it
bud.
up real quick just so you kind of
100%. We want to see this run, Ross. Let's get her done.
So I just have this little CD here where I put this little cup, so like it kind of can spin.
Yeah. And like it keeps it in position for it to spin, sort of thing in there.
Yeah, so it doesn't kind of like roll away or whatever. Let me plug this into a battery. And I'm not going to hook up the second battery because this would go to the second battery, this one. But I'm not going to hook that up. I'm just going to leave that just clipped over here. I'm just going to have the run battery going. And then you can see this light up. Like it's going beep, pulsing really, really fast pulsing. It's trying to like send out a magnetic signal. And so I'll show you. So then when it shoot.
Warning, nothing ever goes according to plan while you're live streaming.
Yeah.
If it actually even works, then you've done more than chances are it was supposed to be.
A little bit of oil might help to create a little seal to keep it there, but also give it that lubrication to spin.
Yeah, it'll eventually go.
No, you'll get it.
Yeah.
We have full faith in you.
It's close. I just want to show you how fast it can really get up to once it does get spinning. It keeps wanting to.
I see it's starting to go.
Oh, shit.
It was so. Yeah, I might have to do that trick with the oil. I'm going to have to find some oil around here.
You just need to put a ball bearing on top of it from a fucking anything. You can get a ball bearing and just create a thing to where that ball bearing sits on top and holds it in there, and you're golden.
So you just reminded me of our last night's stream when you brought up Ezekiel's wheel, the wheel within a wheel, and it's like that could also be ball bearings essentially, or geos.
Wheel within a wheel, dude.
A gyroscope invention and ball bearings in ancient antiquity. Although chances are it was a field within a field within a field, and one of those hyperdimensional craft. But just saying, who knows?
I've never understood the wheel within a wheel thing. Like, I knew it was something important, but now I get it. Holy shit.
There we go. We got it. We knew you would, Ross. We knew you had it in you.
You guys are looking at the Masonic double-headed eagle right there.
I'll kind of hear how fast it was going.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely heard that RPM running.
Yeah, it's like insane RPMs when that thing gets up and going. And you notice how I was like focusing, like it's at a certain point that it you know what I mean? The signal gets to it right.
Yeah, it's the toroid field, man.
It's crazy that like, I mean, that really has me thinking that you can at some point in the future, someone's going to figure out how to, focus a magnetic beam. And another crazy thing I thought up, like because you know how like magnets can't pick up aluminum or copper or gold or silver. Like imagine if you could like create a magnet that
Change
like
it. I actually have seen something exactly like you're talking about, and it's how it affects the piezoelectric within the material that makes these non-magnetic metals become attracted, like a monopole, almost to them.
yeah, I mean, could you imagine how much money you could make if you made a magnet, an electromagnet that could just pick up, or even not just pick up, but like pick up gold, little microscopic gold powder out in those, like the Klondike and all these different places that all these gold miners go, and they're using all these water flumes and stuff to try to separate a little bit of gold out. If you had electromagnet over top of that and all that dirt and water was flowing down and it picked up every tiny little shred of gold powder up off, so none of it was lost, like 100% was found, instead of now like 1% is found, like 99% of it gets washed down into the river, so, or whatever, like 90% of it and 10% you find. That right there would be a huge thing, but I mean that's just what I'm
Mike was
thinking.
talking about a guy who had a magnet that did actually pick up gold, but like it would screw you up if you were near it though.
Yeah, I mean that would just like blow. I mean that would right there would break people's ideas of theory, conventional wisdoms and all this stuff. And I'll show because he was saying counter space, Mike. So I guarantee you, Mike must also be an avid watcher of the angry photographer on YouTube. Let me see. His name is his actual name on YouTube is like Theoria, which is spelled T.
Theoria Apophysis, Ken Wheeler, Uncle
Yeah.
Kenny, a tattooed monkey, right?
Yeah, exactly. So he's kind of the guy that got me into that whole like counter space and stuff. And so yeah, I do think Mike is right. I think they're like the fact that atoms themselves are like perpetual motion machines. They always are moving.
Right? Like
Yeah.
that came to me, that understanding, like from like a young child. I was like, wait, how, like, why are we trying to claim that there's no such thing as perpetual motion? Like atoms, like mass, everything is in the universe is essentially perpetual.
And then when you take two magnets together, like permanent magnets, and they like want to come together, they want to accelerate together. I mean, that right there is also proof that there's like this underlying, like Mike said, counter space that's just constantly there, that's just gobbling up space. If you could somehow tap into that type of thing, that right there would be a
exactly. That's why it's the 0 point. When I hear 0 point, I understand that it's the shape of the 0 in the very center. That is where you get to that counter space, and then you're tapping from the counter space. You're pulling it in from the 0 into our manifestation of reality and dimension.
I don't mean to sound ridiculous, but your heart is a counter space pump.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The toroidal field it generates is a perfect example.
And I even have right here a magnetic a supercell that guy Ken Wheeler. I even signed it, Ken Wheeler. Magnet lens. But the problem is it broke right here, and all the liquid most of the liquid came out.
Oh, the ferrofluid.
Yeah, the ferrofluid. So I don't have much ferrofluid in there anymore, except a tiny bit. Like I have a little bit. Like I got LED lights around it, and like you could probably see, well, I don't even know if you can see that or not, but I'm holding the magnet. It's probably too much light, right?
Yeah, a little bit too much light to see the magnet.
Yeah. Well.
Okay. Yeah. There we go.
The other side is all it's all wrapped in silver tape, so you'd only be able to see it from this side. But I think there's no way for you to see it. But the crazy thing is that with this supercell, like Ken Wheeler mentioned this to me, and I think he said it on one of his YouTube shows as well. But when you take two, well, actually, let me grab one. I have two magnets.
Guys, I'm going to have to take off for the night. It's 2 a.m. here. I've been on for almost 4 hours.
Yeah, no doubt. And for anyone just tuning in, all 4 hours of this stream are available over on Tao of the Frankie channel. I will post the link in the chat in a minute. Thank you so much, Mike, for being with us. If you're available tomorrow evening, I'll be doing another stream. I will send you the link too, good sir. And
all right, sounds good.
Good seeing you,
All
Mike.
right, Mike. Thanks, brother.
Okay, guys. Thanks.
On YouTube.
Take care.
Much love, brother.
And Bernie, so this
yes, sir.
These two magnets. So if you take these two magnets under the supercell, and with just one by itself, you could see that there's the north and the south pole, and then in the very center, I guess you'd call it the singularity, or where all the magnetism is basically like kind of
like 0 points essentially. Yeah,
it's like a bathtub.
The neutral zone.
Yeah, it's like a bathtub drain. I kind of think of. It's like a perpetual drain, and but if you take another magnet under the supercell and bring them together, like not just one or one, you take them.
I see what you're saying. Have two forced together from against their poles, and then add a third coming into those two.
No, just two. Yeah, so you just take two, and then like they want you see how they want to come together. They want to come together. And the craziest thing, this is what happens under the cell. You can see this. So one is a magnet, and one's a magnet. And you can see, the 0 point in between. There's a 0 point in between this and a 0 point in between this. And then the crazy thing is, when you bring them together, the North Pole to the South Pole, in the very center, what appears is a fucking spiraling, swirling vortex. It's another fucking singularity, 0 point in between the two magnets. So the two magnets are trying to come to that point that's in between them.
And the fields actually almost look identical to an owl's face with the two eyes and where the intersects of those two toroidal fields coming together.
Yeah, but isn't that crazy? But he's proven it with two magnets, so you could see it physically underneath of it with your own two eyes. Like there's no way of like denying that or faking it. It's just like in front of your face. And that's just one magnet, but he never shows what happens when you take two magnets and bring them together, because there's a 0 point in between. So there's no longer a 0 point in between this magnet, and there's no longer a 0 point in between this magnet. The 0 point ends up in between both of them, and now both of these are trying to come together at this imaginary, what we think as humans, invisible point, but you can see it on the supercell. That's the only way you can see it. It just magically appears in between the two magnets like that. It looks just like that, but it's in between the two magnets, and you can see the two magnets are trying to come towards that. They're not trying to come towards each other. They're both trying to come towards that invisible center point. That's what they're trying to do. You get it?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that insane?
It is, right? Like the secret magnetism, like magnetism. Like you can't have electricity without magnetism, and the magnetic forces are almost twice as strong as the electric forces. Yet in modern electrical engineering designing, barely ever do we talk about the magnetic properties of it.
Yeah, well, it's been basically up until now. Yeah, it's only been up till now until whoever invented that supercell, that we've never been able to actually see it, like physically see what's going on. And so with these supercells that whoever invented, I don't think Ken Wheeler invented them. He basically is one of the first.
It was his buddy that invented it. He does several videos giving credit to the guy that actually sent him the original one.
I mean, that toroid right there, that you know what I mean, yellow and orange image of that toroid field almost brought me to fucking tears. That is the most beautiful fucking geometry that runs the universe. Everything. That is everything. You just saw it literally with everything. You just saw everything right there.
And I'm going to show you something actually, Bernie. I'm going to hold my phone up to the screen and show you. You weren't on the stream with me and Jeremiah Pop, right?
I had to right at the end there. I was there for a little bit, but then I had to leave. But yeah, I saw you were going into it.
Yeah. So let me see.
We're still here.
That is a lens into reality, man.
Right, it's the shape of, it's the geometry of the universe and of all energy fields.
Yeah, can I show you my friend's theory of what the
yes, sir. You are on.
So this is his theory of what the
Tesla's 1 through 9 equation shows this motion.
I like that.
This is like
there you go. A little bit to your right, maybe, if you hold it.
like this.
Bring it over. There you go. And then tilt it just a little bit more up to get the sunlight reflection. There we go. Yeah, pretty good there.
But like that's the proton and the neutron right there, or the proton and electron. There is no neutral charge or neutron. It's just positive.
Yeah. I like that geometry of this simulation that you got running there. Your friend's cracking the code.
Yeah, and the X, see the X, Y, and Z right there? That's the 3 dimensions of the universe, the X, Y, and Z. That's the matrix that the universe
Yes.
And somehow
God, see what you're actually showing is so important and profound to those that actually understand what we're looking at.
Yeah, so that's, he calls them the PSO structure, based on the word ellipsograph. He calls this the fundamental particle or the singularity.
Bernie, pull up Tesla's alternating W pyramid. Look at, you know what I'm talking about. Pull that up, man. Show them what, show people what he's showing here.
Can Frankie pull it up? My computer's running a little slow with everything going.
Here, I can pull up an image of it.
Sorry, I'm having computer problems. If you can pull it up, Ben, then I can show it or share it.
I'll share it real quick.
Yeah, and
yeah, you're showing that Tesla is pretty much showing that is the freaking universe right there. Here's a good example of it. For anybody that hasn't seen Tesla's oh, I gotta start my cam. Okay, this right here is what he was just showing in motion. And these poles reverse with each other, and it starts the cyclical motion of these. And they flow in between as these positive and negative keep bouncing off of each other. And that's that counter space that he was talking about. And it is just, probably only the most important thing ever, we'll ever understand in the universe, nothing much.
Right? Like it's how it's actually like numbers working with themselves in the fundamental fabrics of space-time and matter. How the energy goes back and forth between them.
That is thermodynamics within a polar structure, and that is the definition of infinite perpetual motion.
Yes, YouTube froze a little bit there. Ross, did you have some more to show, my friends? Some more with that?
That was impressive, man.
Or do you want to go talk about? You're muted, Ross. You gotta mute yourself.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was like, he did make a great point. That I did see that picture before, and I actually didn't think about that. Yeah, I guess at that right moment, because it's like moving in and out, and at that right moment, that was like that Tesla picture is like a capture of that, what's going on there, and it's all mathematically based on each other. And but the crazy thing is, like, I think this is more like what Walter Russell used to talk about.
Yeah,
how it's called the
absolutely.
the cubic wave field of space. So everything is just a magnetic, I mean, not a magnet, but it's a mirror image. So everything is just a mirror image of itself in these 3 dimensions. That's the fundamental crazy thing, is that all those 3 things that are bouncing in and out, they're like the 3 quarks, the muon, the gluon, and whatever the third quark, those 3 quarks. And how they always, physicists are always saying, we can't separate the quarks. It's impossible. You know, no matter how much infinite energy we use, you can't, because they're the same thing. It's just a mirror reflection of each other. Like when you stand in a mirror and you're like, oh, that looks like me. And you put up your left hand, and then that other guy in the mirror puts up his right hand, and he's like, no, I'm me and you're you. And you know what I mean? So no, like you're looking at each other and holding up, you know, you have reflection. And it's like the guy in the mirror is like, I'm the real me, you're the reflection. I'm like, no, I'm the real me, you're the, you know. So it's sort of like, that's the craziest thing, is that's kind of our reality. The whole reality, everything to the most fundamental physics, all the way down to the atom, is just like a mirror reflection of itself, kind of bouncing off these 3
Right, like a fractal reflection.
It's just crazy to think about that, you know?
That's what you get.
And if you really think about it, I mean, if you boil it all down, like it's almost like this is how my brother was asking me, oh, well, you know, how is that possible? Like, you know, if you go through space, like, you know, something is such and such billions of miles away or whatever. But if you really think about it, down to the deepest level, God just made like one box. So we're all in this teeny box. And so there's nothing separating us. We're all together in this one box. So when you think you're looking across the universe like billions and billions of miles away, you're not. It's like you're right there. Like you could just, I mean, but you can't. Because you're part of the illusion too. You're part of the show. So you're in the box. You're a reflection in the box. You're like a self-absorbed reflection, and it's all, you know, it starts off with like one box. It reflects off of each other, off of all the walls of the box, creates, you know, eight more cubes in that one cube. And then now there's 8 different cubes in that one cube. Or I mean 4 cubes in that one cube. And then those 4 cubes break down into 4 more cubes. And then those 4 cubes broke down into 4 more cubes, and it keeps happening. It's just a reflection of a reflection of a reflection of a reflection of a reflection down to infinity. So that's all. When we look at our atoms and stuff like that, we just keep seeing. The deeper we see more stuff, we're like, how is that possible? It's just because it's
the
all
only thing that can be possible.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about it, so how big does it go? Like, I mean, I guess I don't even want to use the word big. I mean, how, like, we could just be like a reflection down. What level of reflection are we at?
That is controlled solely by the consciousness that observes it. These are base Hermetic principles. These are the teachings of Thoth and Hermes.
Yeah,
the people who built the pyramid. Yeah. Have you dug into Hermetic philosophy yet, Oso?
Have a what?
Have you dug into Hermetic philosophy yet?
No, more. I just follow Walter Russell is the main kind of guy one eye, and then also Ken Wheeler.
The Egyptian god Thoth, if you want to call him a god, he wasn't a god. He's the one who really explains this fundamentally for what it really is. And I won't tell you like what's what or anything. I would just say that is really worth digging into, because this is where you start to understand the nature of the fractal paradox and its divinity as it's held within consciousness. That, you know, what's generating it is the mind that observes it.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, so it's like it's like we're being like thought into existence
As above, so below.
Yeah, from somewhere else.
And Alex Dunn mentions hermetics is a must, and I have to agree with him. When I was first getting into alchemy, I was like looking just at the science side, but the deeper you go, the more you realize the metaphysical sciences are actually real sciences that apply to our multi-dimensional universe that we exist in. And the more you dig into it and make peace with it, the deeper or faster you connect to things. And shout out to Dan Winter, CJDV, MMAC, PMG fam, saying, and Dan Winter does absolutely great work with the golden ratio, phi, Fibonacci, and so much more, the geometries of it all, and plasma. If you don't know who Dan Winter is, absolutely next level individual in research. And Bob Greenier actually just connected with him down in the US on his trip, and they recorded a video, and I'm going to have Bob Greenier on here in the next week, and he's going to be putting me in touch with Dan Winter, so hopefully we can have Dan Winters on the show sometime soon. Any thoughts?
I did. I feel like I killed the energy. I feel like I spoke the word that killed the energy or something. I apologize.
Walter Russell, though, if you want to go more into that, Ross, Walter Russell, like, for those who don't know, he was Nikola Tesla's, like, one of his best friends, fellow inventor. A lot of his research and experiments are still classified by either General Electrics or Westinghouse, I think it was, that he had, but he was doing transmutations, cold fusion, in plasma tubes, vacuum tubes, already 100 years ago.
Yeah, and he basically he's the guy who figured out neptunium, which was one of the atoms that they had, he theorized, but they finally found. He has an entire periodic table called the spiral periodic table, which is the more proper, more correct periodic table than what we have now, which is just doesn't make any sense. It just, you have to force yourself to remember. But when you look at like Walter Russell's spiral periodic table, it really makes sense, and it comes around, and a lot of the things line up, like it's a spiral, and then there's spokes to the spiral. So
if uranium lines up to lead, I'm fucking sold.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, but I would take a look. It probably does. I can't remember how they line up, but it's like they all just make so much better sense than like the stupid periodic table we use now. And
were you watching me go over this last night in my stream where I said the identical thing when showing Walter Russell's vortex-based periodic table?
Yeah, this guy was unbelievable. I mean, Walter Russell was, and a lot of them say that they had some type of like divine, like something happened to them, like, and they were able to like see the underlying structure of the universe somehow. And it's probably like all of us have that ability, but somehow some people, it just like somehow goes into their mind and they can see it for just a brief moment, and then it's sort of like for the rest of their life as a human being they're trying to explain it the best they can. And I had a friend say that this is a good statement. He said, not only is the universe stranger than we imagine, it's stranger than we can imagine, because we as human beings, like, our brains are not that powerful. So like, even if God tries to tell us like how the universe works, I mean, our meager, feeble little monkey human brains just aren't that powerful to really actually fully get it. because it's just so strange. Like it's, I mean, it's you know, that's kind of how it probably is what happens. They get some
No,
sort of
you're right. That's why,
epiphany.
like, a lot of divine information comes through dreams. You have to, your subconscious has to like accept it passively, and then it slowly filters into your conscious. And whether or not you're like really left brained or right brained also makes a huge difference on how much of a grasp you're going to really see of the underlying motions in the universe that make sense. Occult training is really important for these types of things.
And a lot of it's also inference, because I mean, I don't want to say like Einstein's wrong. I mean, because a lot of his stuff he was, and like Ken Wheeler always says, he made the correct observation but incorrect conclusion or something. I forgot how he said it, but it was you know, the idea that like space is like this, I guess he it's this three-dimensional, which I do think it is a three-dimensional lattice, but that it kind of like bends and stuff, you know, how that's how he said it was like a membrane that bends, and you know, we should be able to see that. And then it's, I mean, and then they thought they saw that in the you know, in the whatever, like the Michelson, I forgot which experiment it was called, the Michael Morley experiment, I think is what it called. But um
Marley?
he was, yeah, he was on the right track, and he thought, you know, these ideas that he said, like the relativity and stuff, it turns out that the mathematical equations work, but it's not really the correct explanation of what's really going on. But that's what set in motion this mental conundrum that all these physicists have to this very day, where they get into these crazy ideas like membrane theory and string theory and all this. They and you know, they because they think about like time is changing and time is flexible and all this kind of stuff. It ends up really just eating up your mind. Like you get so wrapped up in the weeds of this, and that's basically what happened to all of them. That's where we are now. We're on this long progression of scientists and physicists over the last 150 years, where they just got stuck in this weird mental conundrum where they're trying to theorize, well, if time changes, then this should be the case, and all this stuff. It should come back to zero. The universe should have had a big bang, and all this kind of. It's all based off of like they think they know what's going on, but I don't think they really do know what's going on. They kind of just
Some of them do, and dude, if they're not lying, there's a Masonic sword to their throat.
Well, there's a lot of that too. I mean, yeah, there's obviously we're all humans, so they got, you know, people. I mean, you even see in politics, people can fool themselves. You know, yeah, it's sad, but yeah, that is definitely, yeah, it's that's a sad part of.
Like I was just saying, though, when you get catapulted down that paradox, you know, path of thinking, a lot of things are
But what I was saying, mainly saying, is that Einstein himself, he didn't really like take a spaceship up and fly through space and prove that time changed and all, you know, he just kind of like assumed it because, okay, if this happens, if I take a light and I bounce it off a mirror and this happens and it takes this much time, but if I do it, you know, and he basically just did all these assumptions that there must be the theory of relativity. And that's just kind of the same thing. I think that like this other guy I showed on my phone, where he came up with that theory of the ellipsograph structure, you know, he didn't actually ever see it. It's just sort of like he's theorized it, that this must be the case. This must be what's happening down at the deepest levels of quantum mechanics, that this must be the fundamental underlying structure that's going on.
I'll tell you what, his theory is, if not correct, if that wasn't the Tesla model, he's goddamn close. He's right. He's got the motion right, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it like I'll even stop it like in mid flight, like it's so crazy because all the different shapes like that's like, let me see, that's one shape. And, you know, and then I'll pause it for a second, and then that's another shape. See, I paused it, and then I'll start it again, and then that's another shape. It'll be another shape now, and then I'll start it again, and it's like all this. I've seen all these shapes before, and you know, it's just unbelievable. Like there's like the perfect triangle in the middle, and
it's incredible, you know. You come from you're on the completely other walk of the path that I am, you know what I mean? I came, like, I was an atheist for 27 years, and then I had a really weird spiritual experience that I used to laugh at people about when they fucking talked about, and I ended up becoming an illuminated master. So, you know, like, my theories on this stuff come from, you know, like pyramid schools and, you know, ancient Egyptian mysticism. And then you get, you know, these guys in science, you know, you're doing it a completely other way, and we end up crossing at the same exact path. You know what I mean? It's incredible to me. I feel like no matter what, we're destined to figure this shit out. Ain't anybody gonna stop us either.
yeah, I mean, he always joked. The guy I'm talking about is Mike Marsden. I mean, he has never published any of his stuff. He's not known. He's not famous or anything. He's just some random physicist that's been, you know, he worked for the government think tanks and stuff, and then he's in private sector. And but he says he's never invented anything. He says he just takes advantage of Mother Nature, what Mother Nature already invented. So that's all we really are doing is none of us really invent anything. We just kind of figure things out that's already there.
Yeah, it is astounding.
Yeah, definitely. I love that you brought that aspect up, Ross, because I literally say the same thing with all of my stuff. Like, I don't say, oh, I've discovered all of this alchemy stuff. No, I say rediscovering alchemy, rediscovering the secrets of the universe, because the secrets of the universe are that they're universal. They've always been here. They always will be here. It's just us refiguring it out. And many societies and people have figured it out throughout all of the different timelines in history.
Can I say something that's going to trip the both of you out? When you know, in order to correctly start the universal model, in order to correctly start the fractal paradox, and, you know, the flower of life mathematics, how everything fits through this geometric lens shape that is called the flower of life. You consider that energy, when it exists, it has to have a positive and negative pole. To start the thing, you cannot have a negative polarity. It's extremely strange. You have to have two male aspects to generate an infinite fractal paradox. Eventually, you have to switch one of the poles to a negative polarity, but you have to start out with two male poles to create the infinite, to create that infinite matrix, and then you switch one of the poles, and then it begins an infinite cycle. But you have to create the infinite reflection first with two male aspects. That's what trips me the fuck out.
And it's sort of like now that you say that, I'm like, what, maybe the two males were reflections of each other in the first place too.
Yeah.
That kind of like makes me think that now too. It's kind of weird.
Well, when you dig into the teachings of Thoth and the teachings of Ra and stuff like that, they tell you that there was a universe that was created before this universe, and it did not have a female aspect, and it was in fact in an infinite. Nothing in it was destroyed, but over eons and eons and eons of time, it did decay and intermingle so much that it was garbage. And then that was scrapped, and then this female aspect was added into it to add the aspect of Shiva to keep a constant cycle of destruction and renewal. And it's interesting. It makes me think
this is not the official belief of this channel, and also probably why Ben doesn't have a girlfriend if you don't have a girlfriend. Just kidding.
Hey, I'll have you know, I'm talking to a woman who completely agrees with me on these things.
That's definitely a keeper right there.
Yeah, no, she's amazing. She's awesome. No, I've been choicefully celibate for 10 years. You know what I mean? I try and stay on that narrow path. You know. No, it's very interesting, and then you end up finding, these Masons who are running the planet. That's a boys' club. That's a boys' only club. You know what I mean? So
well, one could argue that the boys' club running the planet isn't doing a very good job, so we might need a little bit more feminine back in power.
I'm just saying, to generate the matrix, you have to have a fractal paradox reflection. You can't have a fractal paradox reflection start with a negative and a positive pole. It has to be both of the same.
This stream just passed the 4 hours and 20-minute mark. That's 4:20, everyone.
Yeah, I just found a picture of that guy, the guy's because remember I just showed you that video of that guy's theory of his ellipso structure. So I found another picture that he made that actually it's crazy. It does look just like that picture of the Ened of Heliopolis that you were just talking about.
Yeah, the vortex-based W math one.
Yeah, what's his name
go? Can you show it on screen? Or
yeah, what's his name go?
Can you show that on screen?
Yeah, I'll do
that. Mike had to take off. Oh, Frankie's walking his dog quickly.
Okay, let me show you. I gotta.
There's another pretty crazy thing that I can show that a great deal of what Nikola Tesla achieved was already built in Egypt. Its geometry already existed, and that he was taking these concepts and remaking them using.
Right? There's nothing new under the sun, as the saying goes.
Right there. And this is what I'm talking about right here. Like, this explains these little particles right here. This is the cell division process of conception for human beings. And it does take on the flower of life process, and it does start with one sphere, then two spheres, and when you merge them together, they start a mirror replication process, and they do have to be at a male polarity at the very beginning to start the fractal paradox off. But once it exists, then the female or the negative polarity is a constant within it. And that just never ceases to trip me out how that works. But yeah,
let me.
the
You want me to show you real quick?
Oh yeah, Ross, hit the share screen, brother. Oh, you're gonna pull it. You
Yeah,
can pull things up on your computer at the bottom if you hit present, and then I can share it for you. If you want on the phone, then I'll just enlarge your screen.
I'll just show it on my phone. So let me turn off this light in front of me.
Actually, while this is going on, I'm going to draw a little illustration.
So, who was just
It's Ben talking, Master Song FRC. That's also talking right now.
And what was it? Aberton led salad or what? Is he? You're the one?
Yeah, Frankie.
Frankie.
Frankie's out walking the dog currently.
Okay, but he was the one showing the that picture of the.
No, that was Ben. That was
Ben. Oh, so Ben, you were showing the picture of the life structure.
Yeah, the Tesla. That's Tesla's equation. Is 369 universal key thing.
Yeah, I find this so weird because look at this. So that guy, Mike Marsden, came up with oh crap. Well, can you?
I can see part of it.
You got to move it over opposite way, other way. No, more. There you go. Zoom in a little bit. Closer to the camera.
I can see it.
Bring it closer. Up.
Yes. Up. There we go. Yeah.
Okay. So
just
like
lift
this
it up
is
a little bit more. There we go.
This is that structure. But look how close. Look at that right angle, at that perfect angle. You can see it just happens to look like what you just showed, which was that.
Yep.
It's like it's literally the same thing.
I'm going to tell you that is a two-dimensional representation of what is at the center of a continual exchange of a figure 8 cross. It is the Ouroboros cross. So it has like a large figure 8 section and a small figure 8 section that runs on the horizontal of it. And this is where you get the universal toroidal pattern. Tesla really does try to show you the alternation of it, and that does have like colors and components of it that do switch around from point to point in it, but it shows you like this is how the universe is infinitely generated, and it's just like a two-dimensional slice of what is at the center of, I mean, it's directly like smack in the center of the left negative pole of it and the right pole positive pole of it. If you were to take those geometries and stretch them out, you would see the working universal model in it. I mean, Tesla shows it to us, plain and simple, and thank God for that, because I mean,
I just still can't get over how crazy it is that it's like the same exact thing as that. It's literally the same thing.
Hold on, let me pull up an image. I'm going to pull up an image and show you what it looks like when you unfold it. At least if you were to actually see the connecting lines, the connecting geometries in between. I'll show it to you. It's almost like that. Stupid phone, come on now.
That's just uncanny, right?
Right? Oh, I know. It's these key geometry intersecting points that it's the universal structure of how energy moves and intersects between dimensions and between physicality and the energy realms and dimensions.
It's just every damn thing that there is. When you take this geometry and you unfold it, if you were to take the cross sections or the lines of where this rotation would meet, this is what it looks like. And you can see this is in Tesla's model. You see that M shape? That's that W flipped around. You know what I mean? And in the center of it, if you look in the like middle cross section right there, you can see you get that figure 8. You get the Ouroboros cross out of the geometry. My phone isn't really showing that well of it, but it's in there. And this is what happens when you basically take two dodecahedrons and you mirror their geometries off of each other. And if you connect the lines, this is what you get. And this is basically like a geometric permutation of what Tesla's model shows you. Like if you were to let that thing run and if you followed those strings back and forth as they moved, this is the shape you're getting. It even shows you here, damn it, those are the directional lines from it moving left to right. And I don't know, I'm just going to throw this out there for you guys. Let's see if that gets anybody in a tender spot. That says Elixir Vitale right there.
Yeah, and like you said, right, that's just basically like a quick two-dimensional slice of it. You know what I mean? Like it's just like a quick snapshot of something that's actively happening.
Yep. It would appear as a figure 8 cross in its motion. That it's showing what is at the very center of these two things exchanging from left to right. And that is an infinitely moving matrix. It does not stop. And believe it or not, this is the alchemical soup of the universe. Everything that's fucking generated anywhere comes from these equations. You take the flower of life, you take that dodecahedron, where does it sit? Right in the damn center of it, right there. Isn't it beautiful? I think it's beautiful. It's the most damn beautiful thing I've ever seen, to be honest. Here we go. Here is a representation of the paradox between the two of them from a different point of view. You want to know what a DNA lattice really looks like? This is what a DNA lattice really looks like. Your DNA is actually in a dodecahedron shape. And when you look at the most fundamental image of Hermetic alchemy, he tries to show you the two human beings in the center. And you realize that at their physical core, they are constructed of a dodecahedron DNA chain. And you realize what this really shows you. Singularity 1, third dimensional, energy-based dimensional space, 12 to 7 dimensions. The square, 6 to 1 dimensions. Then you have the other singularity state. Sun, 7 to 12, 6 to 1, aspect of Shiva, and a dodecahedron that stretches all the way in between from top to bottom. It is the cycle of life in the universe. Illustrated it in quite a fun way.
See, I love that you're deciphering this esoteric piece of knowledge right here, because I also have many interpretations on that specific one that in our next future alchemy stream, we'll re-go over it. We'll go over your aspects of it, and then I will show you all of the secrets of electrolysis transmutation called fusion that I've also found encoded into that drawing and instructions.
Oh yeah, man. Hit me with that. Hit me with it, bro. Just hit me with that stuff. But what I was saying about, like how the universe is generated by two positive poles, you know what I mean? This is what the Egyptian creation myth tells us.
I can barely hear you right now, Ben.
Okay, Amun creates the first circle, and as there's nothing to, measure it against, nothing for it to, react force against, it's essentially inert in a vacuum. It is pretty much freaking worthless. Creates a second one. It's worthless too. It doesn't do much. But when you merge the two together, that's when you get the image of two mirrors facing each other, and you get the infinite paradox. And this right here is what is behind the symbolism of the all-seeing eye, folks. Okay? That is the Holy Trinity.
Ben, you're too far away from your microphone again. We can't hear you. And Simon is stating we need to get you a headset for the next stream, so there's a stable distance, so the sound's better. But
my bad. Yeah, I mysterious.
Yeah, and you're missing there. There, we can almost see it in focus.
Okay, so
maybe if you put a light on, shine a light onto it. Well, Baron Arcanus, yes, we're doing the best we can with the equipment. This is my channel, my small channel that you're watching on right now. Not even my big channel, just monetized for less than a week now. Got no income coming in as of now, working on getting sponsorships, but trying to upgrade. So, hey, doing fundraising right now, currently short $100 to $150 still needed in my PayPal to be able to purchase the new laptop that I'm looking at getting, to be able to upgrade the streaming quality, as well as finally do video editing so I can actually edit videos and get you that great best quality. So if you people, beautiful souls out there watching, would like to upgrade these streams from being ghetto faux show into a real show, feel free to donate. The links are in the description.
He deserves those donations, guys. Hold on, I have an image that better explains what I was talking about here.
If you write a fundraiser poem, Baron, I will 100% read it and put it into my fundraising video, and I bet you it will make a difference. At least you'll warm my heart.
Okay, I don't know how well you guys can see this, and I know it's sideways, okay? I know it's very sideways. But you see up here, you have that same hermetic symbol. The triangle, the square, and the two circles. And the 11 dimensions between the two polar aspects of the singularity. And this is where you understand where do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do comes from. The does are the two polar aspects of the universe, the aspect of the sun and the aspect of Shiva. So there we have the complete cycle of construction and creation. I mean, destruction and creation. And you have the dimensions, which represent the oscillation in between. The higher dimensions do not have solidarity. What they have is energy, geometry, and vibration. And I don't know if any of you have done like any significant astral projection work before, but when you try to astral project high enough, you encounter a triangular gate that you are unable to get through. So when you're looking at the Hermetic alchemy symbol, it's trying to show you, just like in Tesla's symbol, a flat two-dimensional representation of a three-dimensional structure, which is the working model of the universe. And where is the flower of life geometry? God damn it. Here it is. Another weird thing I'll throw in there, which I try not to venture too much down that path, but when you see the flower of life, so this is that model, when you start overlapping those spheres, and inside of this geometry, every single geometry in the universe fits into this shape. Dodecahedrons, icosahedrons, tetrahedrons, every goddamn type of hedron fits into this shape. This is literally the lens that reality is generated into. And for any of you mystics in here that have heard, our God is the only principle, that there's nothing other than that, even what you would consider evil is only the inverse of that, intention or energy that is put forth by him. I can personally verify that when you take this eye shape that happens when you merge two spheres, it's called the Vesica Pisces. When you're summoning a demonic entity, it is done to the inverse of that eye shape, or what you would think of as a Maltese cross, a Templar cross. And that is just, it's really fascinating in itself to me. That's what I was drawing down here at the bottom here. Is if you take that eye shape and you create the inverse image of it, you get the Maltese cross. And this is what you can really fuck yourself over, summoning entities with shapes like this. The last thing I want to show is just the amount of geometry that can be observed in a single microscopic slice of material is just utterly, just devastatingly beautiful. Inside of this, you have the rose, the Rosicrucians, the Rose Cross. There's several different corporate logos I can pull out of this structure, and of course, you already see the Star of David in there. But it proves this type of matrix fractal reality theory that there is. I mean, once you start digging deep enough, you can't escape it. You can't get around it.
Ben, getting a lot of comments that it's really hard to hear you, my friend. Is there any way you can move?
I'll be quiet. You guys can talk.
No, don't be quiet. Just speak louder and get closer to the mic.
It's not that I'm far away or closer to the mic. I think it's just like the angle of which I'm hitting it. I don't know. I've also been at this for 5 hours, so
no doubt, right? We have. Where is Frankie? I should give Frankie a call here, get him back on, because yes, it is getting kind of late. Probably wrap things up here pretty quick. It'll go for another 15 minutes. We'll make it to the full 5-hour mark, and we'll shut it down. Ross, brother, do you want to quickly just give us a quick rundown of your history, like with the Air Force, and was it the Fed or the SEC? Where did you say you were working in Washington as well? Give us a little description for what everybody can expect in the full interview we're going to do together in an upcoming episode.
Yeah, but just so you know, I can't really go too much into stuff at the Federal. It was the Federal Reserve, the headquarters.
Yeah, just like exactly. Only what you are allowed to say. Don't definitely never ever risk breaking any NDAs or anything like that through your military career or at. God damn it! Why can't I remember? You literally just said where you worked. The where?
Yeah, the Federal Reserve.
No, the Federal Reserve. Yeah, the Fed. Yeah.
I mean, so like back in '99,
Isn't that in Puerto Rico?
No. The Federal Reserve is the nation's central bank. Well,
yeah, their headquarters is in the Caribbean. Like their actual building where things are really, really run is in the Caribbean.
No, it's in
the headquarters, because I didn't work at the bank. Because you got to remember, it's the bank is separate from the headquarters.
Okay.
Yeah, the headquarters is called the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System, and that's where like the chairman is, and then they have the Federal Open Market Committees, and they raise and lower the interest rates and stuff, and that's where recently they've been Jerome Powell has been trying to raise interest rates. To try to stop inflation or bring inflation down or whatever. So, that's sort of like the regulatory body over the Federal Reserve. But like the weird thing is, like when I worked there, like we didn't really know shit about what's going on at the Federal Reserve Bank. There's 12 banks and there's 12 regions. And so they're actually private. They're not federal. I don't know. I mean, I think this is kind of common knowledge now at this point, but a lot of people, they don't realize that the Federal Reserve banking system, the 12 banks, like the Richmond Fed, the Philadelphia Fed, the Los Angeles Fed, there's 12 Feds, and basically they all kind of work together, and they have member banks, and and they also work with the FDIC, and so it's kind of like a big shuffle around where the government really benefits by having this set up, so that because now that the dollar is not backed by gold anymore. They stopped that in 1971. I don't know if you even knew that, Bernie.
Yeah, what really puts a value behind the dollar is your social security number. We've been taking loans out on China on the amount of tax revenue that each human being born with a birth certificate in America is supposed to allegedly generate in tax revenue over their lifetime. We've been taking loans out on people.
Yeah, I mean that's essentially. I mean they would never say it that way, and they would never. Yeah, they would never word it that way or write it that way, but essentially that basically is correct, because if you think about it, like they don't actually have to get tax revenue, obviously, because they can create the currency out of thin air now. So, I mean, in theory, they could just pay for everything with just creating currency, but obviously, like we're seeing now with inflation, if you do that, if you create too much currency, it ends up causing a lot of inflation and pissing off a lot of us regular people, because we have, I mean, the rich people like inflation because they'll take out loans, like billions of dollars of loans. And, then later on, they repay their loans in these cheap dollars. Right. You know what I mean? And so they got to borrow it back when $1 billion could buy like anything. And now they pay it back. $1 billion won't buy you any shit, So the rich people, they like inflation, but the rest of us, I guess, but we're also voters. So they kind of like, they have to kind of sort of kind of not piss us all off at the same time. Or we'll all vote like ooga booga, we're gonna vote for whatever data, you know. So they want to kind of like not have too much inflation. But yeah, so like the only reason they actually do tax is like you're saying, is so that the foreign creditors will continue to buy US Treasury bonds. You know, obviously they want to drum up money from foreign investors, and that's exactly the way they do it. They say, look at how many American citizens, you know, i.e., social security numbers, we have in our books that are supposed to pay such and such amount of taxes over such and such amount of years. So that's that right there is, it's the promise of future taxation is what the
It's
bonds
the promise of the Chinese coming over here and using FEMA camps and freaking American slavery is what that is. When you bring that to its conclusion.
I hope not. But yeah, so I worked there at the Federal Reserve, you know, so I can't go into like too many specifics, but yeah, that was a crazy, wild experience, man. I was there. Hey, have you heard of Alan Greenspan? You probably must have heard about him.
Yeah, used to be the head of the Fed for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, so I was there during his time while Alan Greenspan was there, and then Ben Bernanke, after Greenspan came in, Ben Bernanke, and then shortly thereafter I left the Fed and I went to the TSA after that. So I switched government agencies over to the TSA under the Department of Homeland Security. But you know what happened after that. You know, then there was a 2008 financial crisis, and you know, Ben Bernanke basically created like fucking trillions and trillions of dollars of fucking currency to kind of like bail out the banks, basically. You know, 2008. You know about all that, and
Yeah.
that, you know, that wasn't voted on or anything. That's just, they just do that on their own. You know, they're basically, yeah, they're
This
independent.
close to the evilest forces on the face of this earth, man.
Yeah, and you know, because like I never really thought about it back when I was working there. I never thought about it like that. But like, if you give like an entity power over like the creation of money itself, it's like God. You're talking about God power right there, especially if it's the U.S. dollar, because the U.S. dollar is like just so fucking powerful around the entire. Everybody's obsessed with the U.S. dollars. I mean, you look at the average anybody, they just want stacks of $100 bills. They need money, right? You know, I mean, and even me, I need. You know, I'm not immune. I have to like pay for this place and pay for, you know, clothes and food and my car, and you know, it's just they got us all in this game, and it's like this survival, and you know,
Yeah,
and they control
I
it
have
at
to
the source.
I have to throw this in there. Back in the 70s, we made a deal with the Saudis that you could only purchase Saudi oil with US dollars.
Yes.
And that made the US dollar the world reserve currency, because no fucking country in the world, no matter how small and dinky they were, could run
That created the
a
petroleum
freaking
dollar.
light
You got
bulb
it.
without a US dollar, because all the oil was coming from the United Arab Emirates. And
Yeah, and so the craziest part about that now, though, is this year that has officially broken down, and now the Saudis are trading the Chinese oil for their yuan, and it's all happened since the U.S. forced the giant sanctions on Russia for the Ukrainian war, and all the fallout from that, and it's the pin that's going to pop the US dollar reserve currency bubble. And it's now official since the Saudis have started selling their oil to China for the RMB, foreign renminbi is their
You heard it more than
foreign
10
one.
years ago.
Yuan is their
When these
domestic.
market
So,
predictor guys were telling you that China is going to be that China is going to be the economy that you're going to want to live in.
well, they already are the manufacturing physical economy of the world, where the U.S. is only leading now in the digital derivatives economy aspect of it. And it's that the petroleum dollar is now officially dead since the Saudis no longer solely use the U.S. dollar. And it's only going to accelerate and cascade into an avalanche of collapse downwards from here.
Yeah, like somebody
Isn't that
heard
funny?
say, like the Chinese make things and we just make things up. You know, it's a good. It's basically true. You know, we just make
Well,
up.
that's how it used to be, right? And that's how the empire tried to keep it. But then Edward Snowden was exposed how deep the Chinese infiltration had gotten into the both corporate espionage as well as like trade secrets and then military secrets they stole, and they've since caught up, and they've actually surpassed America. As much as America doesn't want to admit it, it's beyond evidence, and that fact is clearly evident through that both the Chinese as well as the Russians are starting to mass produce hypersonic missiles, hypersonic technology, and materials, where the U.S. is still only in the testing phase of hypersonics. We only got our second or third successfully tested hypersonic launch vehicle done in the U.S. side of things, I think was past month. Meanwhile, Russia is now going into mass production of their hypersonic vehicles and weapons, and so is China.
Oh God.
Yeah, and so I didn't. You know, I mentioned I was in the Air Force before that, so I was active duty. But there's also, you know, obviously a lot of things I can't mention about that as well. But I mean, I was in.
Please start with what you can tell us.
I mean, I was in before 9/11, remember? So I mean, I was there during when 9/11 kicked off, and I mean, in this, you know, the East Coast area where all this kicked off. So I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to really say anything I saw with that, but
I'll throw it out there. There's a little spin-off of the show called The X-Files that was called The Lone Gunman. I recommend anybody go watch the first episode of The Lone Gunman and keep in mind that it was put out before 2001. You know what I mean? Or, you know, before 9/11. Or 2001, sorry. And it just blatantly tells you exactly what they did. You know what I mean? And they put it out there into the consciousness before they did it. And the first episode of The Lone Gunman, it basically shows that these members of, you know what I mean, bloodline assholes who owned, you know, a bunch of weapons companies that worked in the government and worked in banking and insurance, that they took a remote controlled plane and slammed it into the Twin Towers to start a freaking war to go just trample and destabilize the Middle East to create a war economy that would stretch on for 20, 30 years. And it was like George Bush and Rockefeller having a conversation. They said, well, when all you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail, doesn't it? You know, and it's just what they did and all the occult numerology and symbolism to it. When you dig deep enough into it, enough about the occult, study the occult enough. There's no question what the hell that was. Man, I'll leave it at that.
Oh wow, I'm reading it right now. Act 4. Yeah, it's called The Pilot. Once aboard the plane, planned to crash.
Oh yeah, like this was like actually. I'm glad you brought that up, Ben, because it's like actually a huge piece of evidence people use against 9/11 of it being premeditated, and like the hidden in plain sight was like it was pretty much the script for 9/11 was this first pilot episode of this show, and then it played, and then 9/11 immediately there happened, and the show got canceled and it got covered up, and it was like,
Yeah, so that's why they don't want people to see this, because they don't want to have anybody to have any extra credibility to say, well, yeah, I can see that.
It also serves to validate the amount of power and just the massive dick they wield over us, man. You don't stop these guys. They work for the prince and king of this world, man.
It is kind of scary that, like, I mean, just look, even just like, whether you like Trump or not, I mean, just look at what they were able to do with him. I mean, the actual president, and like, and like, I mean, I knew it was all bullshit, and like he wasn't that bad. Like you didn't have to be that scared of him. But I know friends that were just traumatized for 4 years. They were obsessed with getting rid of Trump because they're just so unbelievably brainwashed, and it's like they really do have this unbelievable control over people's minds. They really do. Like,
and it was funny. Every single one of those idiots knows that the bad guys are in control, and it's just like when the bad guys really hate someone, that's when you should be cheering them on. You know what I mean? And even they couldn't see that. But yeah,
right? Oh, I know.
It's insane. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's crazy. I mean, I wish people could wake up from their fucking brainwashing, but it's like they can't. It's from birth. It's just embedded in them, and it's sort of like, I mean, I'm sure all of us right here, we have our own story for about why. I mean, because I'll be honest, like, before, I mean, I would have never even come on a show like this. Back when I was in the Air Force, I was like kind of like a dick. I was like watching Fox News and, oh, we should go kill them, they, whatever, and like that kind of stuff. And like, it's sort of like, it's sad because it takes so long. So, I mean, y'all are younger than me. So yeah, I can't believe that you all are already.
How old are you, Ross?
I'm 43, so it kind of took me a while. It took
5
me
years.
a while.
Well, we're glad to have you back, and that you've got your soul back to your spirit and to yourself, and that you're on the rehabilitation from the indoctrination that the military training drills into you to turn you into that murdering robot that doesn't use their consciousness and their spiritual like soul to think and to empathize with the situation that they're in and the other spirits around, and instead just is trained to follow the orders like they do. The boot camp, they're going to drill that indoctrination in, and that's the whole point of it, to dehumanize. And it's glad to see you getting your true humanity back, and that you didn't lose yourself in it. And I think that's part of what PTSD is that so many of the people that come back, they get shocked, but then it's like their brain is trying to battle the indoctrination, like training back to like the shell shock or the traumatized human within their consciousness sort of thing, and a fight between the two. I don't know.
Yeah.
You tell me your thoughts on it. You've actually experienced it.
Yeah, I mean, it started like way before that. I mean, I was just like everyone else. Like, I mean, growing up, you believe, like, you just, I mean, because your parents never, like, even my parents never questioned anything. They went through their whole lives thinking that,
I'm sorry, man.
MSNBC and CNN and all them are like real media outlets, and they still to this day, I think they probably think that, so they never woke up. Most people, 90, I would say like 99% of most people just will never ever wake up their whole life. They'll just, I mean, and I mean, I hate to say it, but like, why do you think you got like? There's not that many subscribers on here, or even, I mean, I guess there's only 18 people watching, which or 21 are watching now. It's sort of like, that's crazy. Why isn't like 21,000 people watching?
Right? Oh,
It's just
the
that.
algorithms are definitely shadow banning. I've been documenting evidence of how suppressed my channels actually are, and the amount that they go through to control it and delete it and hide it. But I never lose faith in humanity or have lost faith in humanity. And I know that it's like, this is just the beginning, and we will get to that point where there will be 20,000 people watching our lives. But it's just going to take a little bit more time. Now that one of my channels is monetized, I'm working on getting the other one monetized. And from there, I'm going to be turning on the options that take some of the revenue that, if they do give me revenue, to put it back into the channel itself to pay for advertising, which will then get me boosted up exponentially in the algorithms. Theoretically, this is what it's supposed to do. We'll see if they actually let it happen. But where instead of the shadow banning algorithms that keep me hidden, instead it will put this work in these videos out there and expose it to a lot of random people that will hopefully then start opening up to it.
I mean, I don't want to be too much of a. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was saying, like, when 9/11 started, I was in the 7th grade, right?
Yeah.
And still didn't know a damn thing. And I was just like, oh my God, dude, I'm so glad we have George Bush as a president. We're going to go over there and turn the Middle East into a fucking parking lot of glass. You know what I mean? I was like, we're going to go over there and fucking.
That is a demon speaking within you.
Huh? Yeah, well, the thing is like, I wasn't always the guy that I am now, Bernie. I actually have like a couple of achievements of being a world-class tactician. You know what I mean? Like, I went through the ESL at 25 and 0. Like, the type of person I used to be was, it like scares the shit out of me now, because I know that there's just, for every one of me that didn't wake up, man, that there's 100 guys out there like me that are just as fucking dangerous and stupid and completely blind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say to you, Bernie. Now, I mean, I know, you got faith in everything, but I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but it's sort of like, if there is ever time that there's 21,000 subscribers on your page, there'll be like a trillion more on CNN and Fox or whatever. It's for every person that we wake up, there's 500 more babies born. And they're
but you see, the more you wake up, the more babies get born to people that are woken up. So it's only going to accelerate.
But then
the inertia is growing.
Yeah, I mean, it's growing, but I hate to say it, there's 10,000 times more dumbasses having kids, and they're not going to be.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. But as far as CNN goes, my average podcast, when I multi-stream with the alien scientist, with autodidactic, and especially when on Leak Project, gets exponentially more views than CNN Plus had subscribers. So just take that into consideration when thinking about it. I'm already bigger. Some of my videos or my weekly programs are already bigger than CNN Plus was before they were forced to shut down.
Bernie, a round of
Yeah, CNN basically lost all their credibility after those 4 years that Trump was in. That they were so obsessed with trying to just get Trump. Yeah, they've just lost all their
Yeah, they're
credibility.
still doing it. I agree. Yes, they've definitely lost all credibility, but it's like they haven't even changed their tactics. It's like he's now out for 2 years, and then still all they try to do is get him. It's pretty funny.
But you go in the airport, and that's all you see is CNN up on every wall. Around the whole world, CNN is on everybody's.
Because they have to pay for it to keep it in people's minds, just because it's so horrible. It means they're losing, and there's only a certain amount. They have a finite amount of cash flow before it finally runs dry, and then they're forced to forever close, just like with CNN Plus, their streaming service. And it's like, you stupid Fs can even break into the streaming economy. You got rejected.
I hope you're right, but I know a lot of idiots that have CNN on 24 hours a day, literally in their homes, and that's all they're inundated all day is that stupid nonsense.
Yeah, right. So what I get with that is like that the Matrix saying of like the sheep or the cogs in the machine that are so dependent on the Matrix that the system that they're engulfed in, that they will fight with their lives to protect it rather than seeing it for what it is or trying to get out of it. And with that, it's such an important like metaphor and understanding of the universe and even the system of humanity today, and that you can't fight the system, you can't fight the universe. You have to go use the flow of the energy, the universal energy flow, to change and to empower and to progress. You have to use the system and transmute the current system into the one of gold that we all want and need and deserve.
Think about how many people you might have reached with your channel that, you know what I mean, just clicked on it fucking randomly and started seeing stuff about sacred geometry and seeing stuff about free energy, and, you know, have it clicked in their minds to where they see like a different vision of how something could be. And then they start prattling off to their friends when they're too drunk. You know what I mean? And that wave just keeps on traveling through human consciousness, you know? So we all have our job, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, there are going to be so many people who will fight to keep like the very apparatus that cuts them at the throat alive. But at the same amount of time, like you have to trust that just the right amount of people that it will need, because deep in the core of you know, woven in DNA and everything else that's alive is the instinct for survival. And I truly think by the end of the road of this huge fucking roller coaster that we're on, I think just before the end of the ride that we'll probably get it right. At least I have to hope so, you know?
I mean, I see what you're saying, but at the same time, it's actually getting worse, because the thing is, like for me, example, like I kind of, you know, I had a financial reason for kind of just going with the system as well, because it's like my paychecks came from, you know, the treasury, so I kind of needed to just go along with everything, and that's the same with any. I mean, there's literally tens of millions of government employees just in the federal government alone, and then you got the state and the local governments, and it's getting even higher there. I mean, it already is like, what percentage is, it's like 30 something percent of the entire US workforce is some kind of government employee, whether it's a federal or state or local, and that number keeps going higher and higher. So eventually it'll be 40%, then 50%, then it'll be like more than half the whole country will be some kind of government employee, and it's going to happen eventually. And then if it's not just that, it'll be like they said, universal basic income. They'll eventually, that eventually that'll pass some point in the future. They'll be doing that. And then everybody will need money from government. So everybody will have a financial incentive to toe the line and shame you if you don't get your vaccine because I need my government stimulus check and you're the one guy that didn't get this vaccine. It'll be that like 10,000 times worse than what we saw in 2020. So many more dickheads being even worse to you. I hate to say that, but that's kind of where I see it kind of heading.
Yeah,
I guess less like
you also got to think though, like if everything was going to the status quo, if everybody was being the perfect fucking sheeple that they wanted them to be, they wouldn't be fighting back and pushing back so goddamn hard against us.
Yeah,
There's
I guess
a major wake up going on through the ripple of human consciousness. It's huge.
Yeah, it's not working. They're trying to get to that point, but it's like they're coming up to a barrier. Luckily, there's enough of us out there that are pushing back and stopping them from taking over all of humanity. We're kind of like, put our line in the sand and we're all standing our ground, luckily. But I'm hope that it doesn't change. And, I hope that we can fend them off forever. But I don't know. I just see the trend, from 100 years to now, and then now from to 100 years from now. I don't know. It could be total government control at that point. A couple 100 years from now, who knows?
There's something you need to look at, and it's something I've been bringing up a lot lately. Is that is the bottom shaft of the Great Pyramid at Giza, and it shows you inch by inch the entire human history. You know what I mean? The entire timeline of this race of humanity. It shows you literally carved in stone that by geometry all of the events that have rippled through human consciousness. And at the start of 2004, it drops into this massive pit. And that was when FunVax was being conceived. I don't know if you know what FunVax is yet, but one of the things they did was, after 9/11, they wanted to find a way, under the guise of finding a way to combat religious fundamental extremism, they isolated the gene in the brain that responds to when you think of God or hear scripture or things of that nature. There's a part of the brain that responds to that, and they learned how to hijack it. And I'm telling you, man, when you there's a video by Alton Childs, some Australian musician guy, where he spends 5 goddamn long, painful hours breaking down to you what the Masonic Society really is. And he ends up telling you they're a Luciferian society who's completely bent upon the destruction of Christianity. And they're going to succeed. And when they're gone, we're really going to freaking miss them. Because like when you take God out of somebody's heart, then that's like the only non-corporeal thing. Because all of this is just this big corporeal thing kicking our ass, right? It's money that's kicking our ass. It's CNN that's kicking our ass. These are all corporeal things. These are all things in solidarity. But when you take that faith out of somebody, like that's when shit totally hits the fan. I don't know. I'm gonna shut up. You guys watch this video.
Yeah, I actually like. I don't even if you heard about this, but someone got hold of some leaked footage from the Pentagon where they actually were discussing, like you just said, I don't want to call it a vaccine, but it was some sort of like a virus that they could release into certain populations, and like you said, it would attack that gene in the brain that would create make people not make, but it would like that humans become, I guess they called it fundamentalist, or they didn't say it was just religion. They said it was like Islamic fundamental religion, like the really hardcore Wahhabi, jihadists. They, obviously that's what the guys at the Pentagon were saying.
Yeah.
And they were pitching this virus, saying, oh, we should release it into the Middle East, and it'll go through the population, kind of like
a rhinovirus.
Yeah, and then it would just kind of mess up everybody's like part of their brain.
All right, let's not use too many words that the YouTube algorithms will shut us down for. And
good point.
You're reminding me to shill my Rumble and my OdySee accounts, which I need everybody to go run over to and subscribe so that I can start live streaming there so that we can actually talk about all of these things openly and not have to worry about it.
That thing that happened in Syria that swept across everywhere, that ISIL thing, you know what I mean? That was the testing ground of that, and they figured out they could dial it up. They could turn it down. They could do just about any goddamn thing they wanted with it. And then look what happened when Mars moved into Virgo. When the planet of war moved into the astrological position of the body and health, look at what they did. Look at what they took advantage of. Look at what they did. Rockefeller says, all we need to create a one world government is the right, desperate situation. All we need is the right desperate situation as a catalyst, and we can seize total control. And look at what they're doing. Look at what these Masons are doing. They are trying to take control of you at the same time they're trying to take God away from you. I mean, this is super serious shit. I mean, I don't know if it gets any more serious than that, but when you take like faith in something out of somebody like that, that's when you don't have anybody that stands up anymore. That's something really scary. And if you go and look at the pyramid, you look at that bottom shaft, and you go watch David Wilcock's Prophecies of a Golden Age, video 1, and let him break it down for you. And you just sit there and let it stew for a little bit about what's coming in 12 years, and maybe think about where the hell you're going to be and what the hell you're going to be doing. Because it's not going to be pretty. I mean, I don't want to sit here and toot my own horn or anything. I'm an illuminated master. I'm ex-special forces. I've seen shit from both sides of the looking glass, and I've been really close to the source of really bad shit, really bad people. I know what the hell their ideology is. I know exactly what they want to do, and it's not that far away. And it's one of the reasons why I didn't have kids. I'll just throw that out there. It's one of the reasons why I didn't bring a life into the world, because I know it's coming, and it's awful. And I know I'm just talking shit now, so I'm gonna shut my mic off and let you find John.
Yeah. On this note, we probably should wrap things up. I don't know where Frankie is. He probably fell asleep. He hasn't responded to any of my texts. We've been going for an extra 20 minutes longer than the 20 more minutes that we were supposed to do. This stream has gone 5 hours and 22 minutes long. The first 3 hours of it are available over on Frankie's channel, The Tao of Frankie, where we've got Ben, Mike from FAraday Research, and Frankie participating in the first 3 hours with a little bit of myself in there. And then myself joining in, going live for the 4th hour on my channel, and Ross joining us for the 5th and fifth and a half hour total. I just posted the link in the live chat for the full 5.5 hours for everybody that wants to watch. There was great total info in that. Oh God, thank you so much, Marcel. $55 or 55 euros donated. Greatly appreciated so much, Marcel. Helps a lot. Hopefully YouTube actually gives me some of this someday soon. I don't know. I've yet to hasn't been long enough to see how much they actually pay or when they do. Love y'all. Ross, I'm gonna have on for a full stream to tell your story for what you can tell sometime here in the next week or so. Oh, thank you, David. David M with $1. Everything does help. I appreciate it all. Any last closing words, Ben, Ross?
Just love everything and everybody. I mean, there's no better. That's all I can say.
Yeah, thank you for everything you do, Bernie. Thanks for trying to wake up as many as possible. And I do like your metaphor with using, the universe, kind of going with the flow. It's almost reminds me like a martial artist. You don't fight for force with force. You have to.
You got it right.
You got to use their force
the
against
famous
themselves.
one. Bruce Lee. It's like Bruce Lee's martial arts. It's exactly that, to the point that it's like when one makes themselves one with the energetic flow of what's going on in the universe. Who knows? Maybe we can manifest that plasma ball lightning out of your hand, even like the ascended masters seem to do. Sorry to cut you off. Please continue. Good.
I mean, that was, it's great, that you provide this, and several hours of content as well. I mean, it's so many different subjects, too. It's really interesting stuff. Really kind of opens up my mind. I mean, you're saying like, I open up your mind, and you open up my mind as well. And we all can. Every time you get some different on here, you open up someone's mind just a little bit. I mean, I never would have got to where I am had I never met that guy, Mike Marsden, obviously, and I never would have met Mike Marsden if I hadn't never met my friend, Cleveland Savage, who got me into the Anti-Gravity Club. And I probably wouldn't have met him if I hadn't, met, whatever, the stuff that kind of woke me up. Because I really got woke up in, 2007, 2008. Was kind of really when I kind of got out of government and I went into the private sector, and I kind of woke up to reality. So at that point, it kind of set me off on this trajectory of where I am today. And I'm hoping that I can keep, like we're working with Falcon Space and Mark Sokol and Jeremiah Pop and Jeremy Riss and, was the other guy, Ted Pittman and the other guy that you had on last night, the older guy with the mustache, old, he's an archaeologist. Got white hair. I think his name, Mike. Yeah, what's his name? And then obviously
Michael Boyd.
Yeah, Boyd. Yep.
Or Mike FAraday.
Research. Yeah, Mike FAraday also. Him too. All of this is together.
Well, exactly. It's a giant community of everyone coming together and sharing ideas and building from it.
You should find a platform that any of your viewers at any given time can put forward a question they want us to answer.
Yes, sir. That is going to be the Discord and Discord server I'm setting up here. I got a Raspberry Pi. My dad actually has an extra one for me, so I'm going to be figuring that out this next week. Two tops. Andreas Zertis is helping me out with that. The Discord community over at Zertis is huge, and anybody that's into Discord, you can head over to Zertis's in the meantime, and I should have mine up very soon.
I have a Discord server, already.
Nice. All right, Ross, Ben, if people want to get a hold of you or reach out to you, any ways on social media they can find you, or?
Yeah. You can always click on my YouTube channel and leave me a comment, and I'll message back to you, or many of you can hit me up on my personal number. I'll give you like 30, 45 seconds, whatever, to find something to write it down or grab your phone or something.
Yeah, I can type it into the live chat if you want.
Yeah, go ahead and do that. I have a school. I teach very, very high degree spiritual aspects. I am an illuminated master. I do initiate people into the illuminated schools. I do that. So I do have like all the original teachings, all the original monographs. If you're ever interested in knowing what the hell these people that are really running everything, you know what I mean? Like how they got smart enough to do it, that's how you find out. You know what I mean? They teach you what it is. And there's also over 700 books, and over 200 personally written lessons of things I've learned as an illuminated master and stuff like that. The school is massive. I've put together quite a lot of content in it. And yeah, Bernie can tell you how to get a hold of me.
So what's your number? I'll put it in.
206 627
3084. That's how you get a hold of Ben for extended teaching classes. Ross, you got an email, or Twitter, or somewhere you want me to refer people for questions for you, or?
Yeah, I don't really have any, I don't do anything on my YouTube or Twitter or anything like that. I guess if they want to ask me questions, they can email me, I guess. I'll actually throw it in the chat right now.
Okay, cool.
I'll also throw in there, like, I have the original manuscripts that have the chemical cocktail that unlocks the Christ mind. So like you can literally see energetic fields as they move and all of their different color spectrums. I'm talking about the works here, people. Everything you needed to be like the type of guys they're talking about, like saints in the Bible and shit. No, I know how to unfold consciousness like that. I've got master keys. So
nice. That's what it's all about. So on that note, I will be doing a full episode coming up in the next 2 weeks with Ross, as well as we'll be doing another episode with Ben, aka Master Song FRC, on some more alchemy. So until then, tomorrow night I'm doing another stream, but it's going to be Twitch based more than anything, but it will be on YouTube as well. Love you all. Have a blessed day, have a blessed night wherever you are, and we'll see you then.